The sun was setting behind the tall glass towers of the city, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, when a black limousine pulled up in front of a mansion that stood like a symbol of wealth and power. Inside that mansion lived Mr. Kamau, a self-made millionaire whose sharp suits, expensive watches, and calm authority made him one of the most respected men in town. Yet behind his powerful smile lived a man who carried the worry of a father. His daughter, Zuri, beautiful and graceful in her modern silk gowns, carried herself like a princess of the new Africa, confident in public, but fragile in the privacy of her home. Every evening, after dinner was served in their glittering dining room with polished marble floors and golden chandeliers, Zuri would excuse herself politely, walk to her room in silence, and then lock the heavy wooden door behind her. No one was allowed in, not even the maids, not even her father. The sound of that lock clicking every night had started to echo louder than the music of wealth that filled the mansion. At first, Mr. Kamau ignored it, thinking it was just the habit of a young woman wanting privacy. But as days turned into weeks, his concern grew. Zuri was not a rebellious teenager. She was 23, elegant in her modern dresses, with braids neatly styled and eyes that once sparkled with dreams. Now those eyes looked distant, even when she sat at the table across from her father. Dinner conversations had become empty exchanges of, "How was your day?" followed by a silence so thick that even the clinking of silver spoons felt loud. The staff noticed it too. Every evening, when Zuri rose from the table and walked away, her long gown brushing against the polished floor, the house would fall into a kind of mourning silence. One evening, as rain tapped softly against the glass walls, Mr. Kamau decided he could no longer remain a silent observer. He waited outside Zuri's locked door, his heart heavy. "Zuri," he called gently, his deep voice trembling. "Is everything all right, my child?" But the only answer he received was silence, broken by the faint sound of music playing from inside her room. It wasn't the loud, joyful kind of music, no. It was soft, haunting, almost like a lullaby meant to soothe pain. That night, Mr. Kamau couldn't sleep. His daughter was hiding something, and it was eating him alive, not knowing what. The next morning, he called for Mama Thandi, the oldest maid in the house who had been there since Zuri was a child. Dressed in a clean modern uniform, Mama Thandi lowered her eyes respectfully, but spoke with honesty. "Sir," she said softly, "the girl carries a storm in her heart. Every night she locks herself away, but sometimes I hear her sob quietly. She doesn't want anyone to know." Those words pierced Mr. Kamau's chest like a blade. His daughter, his only family left after his wife's passing, was crying alone every night, and he didn't even know why. That evening, when dinner was served, Mr. Kamau studied his daughter carefully. She wore a beautiful emerald green dress that shimmered under the chandelier lights, her skin glowing like polished ebony. She smiled faintly when their eyes met, but it was the kind of smile that hides more than it reveals. As usual, she barely touched her food. When she stood up and said, "Excuse me, Baba," his heart sank. He knew the next sound would be the door lock clicking upstairs. And indeed, moments later, the silence of the house deepened once more. But that night, something different happened. Instead of retreating to his study, Mr. Kamau quietly climbed the staircase and stopped outside Zuri's door. He pressed his ear against the polished wood. At first, he heard nothing but his own heartbeat. Then came the faint rustling of paper, followed by a whispered voice. It was Zuri's. She was speaking as though to someone unseen. "I can't keep pretending," she whispered. "Every dinner feels like a stage play. Baba doesn't know, he mustn't know." Her voice cracked as if holding back tears. "But how long can I hide this from him?" Mr. Kamau stepped back, shaken. What was his daughter hiding? Why did she pretend every night, only to lock herself away after dinner? The question swirled in his mind like a storm. That night, he resolved to find out the truth, no matter how painful it might be. The following day, he followed her discreetly. Zuri left the mansion dressed in casual jeans and a long coat, her braids tied back neatly, looking nothing like the elegant young lady who sat at his dinner table. She moved quickly through the busy streets, her eyes scanning as though she didn't want to be recognized. Mr. Kamau, sitting in his black SUV at a distance, felt his chest tighten. His daughter was living another life one he knew nothing about. She entered a small cafe at the corner of the city. The place was simple, filled with the laughter of young people in modern clothes. From his car window, he saw her sit with a group of strangers, her smile suddenly real, her laughter free. She looked alive in a way she hadn't at home in months. For the first time in weeks, Mr. Kamau saw his daughter's true face, and it shook him. Why was she so different outside those walls? And why did she return home every night to lock herself away? As he drove back, his heart was torn between relief and fear. Relief that she could still smile, fear that she was hiding something so big she couldn't share it with him. He knew one thing: whatever truth his daughter carried, it would change their lives forever. And he was running out of time to uncover it. The night after following Zuri to the cafe, Mr. Kamau sat in his study, his tailored suit jacket hanging on the chair, his head in his hands. The mansion, with its shining marble floors and glowing chandeliers, suddenly felt like a prison where his daughter had been locking her true self away. He realized something painful, that all his wealth, the expensive suits, the imported cars, the sprawling estate with its staff in neat modern uniforms, had built walls around Zuri instead of giving her freedom. She was happy in a crowded cafe with strangers in casual jeans and sneakers, but she was silent and broken in her own home. The next evening, dinner unfolded as it always did. Zuri appeared in a stunning modern navy blue dress, her braids falling neatly against her shoulders, her posture graceful but her smile forced. She sat across from her father at the long glass dining table, the silver cutlery gleaming under the light. The chef brought roasted fish with vegetables, but Zuri barely touched her plate. When she finally rose and whispered, "Excuse me, Baba," the sound of her heels clicking on the floor felt like thunder in Kamau's ears. He knew she would climb the stairs, shut the heavy door, and lock herself away again. But not tonight. Before she could reach her room, Mr. Kamau followed, his footsteps steady. Just as she closed the door, he placed his hand on the knob and spoke softly, "Zuri, my daughter? Tonight, let me in." There was silence. Then a faint trembling in her voice, "Baba, please, not tonight." But Kamau's voice was calm, filled with love. "I cannot eat in peace knowing my only child cries alone every night. Whatever burden you carry, we will carry it together." The door creaked open slowly. Zuri stood inside, her modern silk gown now crumpled from where she had sat on the floor. Her eyes were red from crying, her makeup smudged. In her hands, she held a stack of folded papers. Kamau stepped inside and sat beside her, the softness of a father replacing the strength of a millionaire. Zuri took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "Baba, every dinner, when I sit across from you, I feel like I am betraying you. You think I am living the life you worked so hard to give me. But the truth is, I don't want this life." Kamau froze, staring at her. "What do you mean, my child?" Her words spilled out like a river breaking its dam. "I lock myself away every night because I cannot bear to look you in the eye and tell you that the world you built, the world of wealth, business dinners, designer clothes, doesn't make me happy. I have been pretending to be the perfect daughter in this mansion, but outside, in that cafe, I am myself. I write poetry, Baba. I perform spoken word. Those people you saw me with, they are my friends, my audience. When I am with them, I am alive. When I come back here, I feel like I'm suffocating." She handed him the folded papers. With trembling fingers, Kamau unfolded them. They were filled with handwritten poems, lines raw with emotion. I wear gowns of silk, but my soul wears chains. I dine under golden lights, but my heart eats silence. I am a daughter of wealth, but a prisoner of expectation." Tears welled in Kamau's eyes. For years he had believed that providing luxury was love. He had not seen that his daughter was drowning in the silence of that luxury. He placed the papers gently aside and cupped her face in his hands. "Zuri, you should never have to lock yourself away to be yourself. If poetry gives you life, then it is your true wealth. Forgive me for not seeing your pain sooner." Zuri broke down, her modern gown rustling as she buried her face in his shoulder. For the first time in months, she felt safe enough to cry openly. Her father held her close, the weight of wealth falling away, replaced by the warmth of love. The next day, something changed in the Kamau mansion. At dinner, Zuri wore a simple yet stylish modern outfit, jeans and a loose blouse. The table was the same, the chandelier still sparkled, but the air was different. After dinner, instead of locking herself away, she stood and said, "Baba, will you come with me tonight?" That evening, for the first time, Mr. Kamau entered the cafe with his daughter. He wore his suit but without the usual stiffness, walking beside her like a father, not a millionaire. The young crowd in modern casual clothes looked surprised as Zuri stepped onto the small stage. She glanced at her father, who gave her a reassuring nod. Zuri began to perform one of her poems. Her voice, strong yet emotional, filled the cafe. "I thought I had to hide my heart behind golden walls, but tonight I let it breathe. Tonight I let it sing." The audience erupted in applause. And in the corner, Mr. Kamau clapped with tears in his eyes, finally proud not of the daughter who dined silently at his table, but of the daughter who dared to share her truth with the world. From that day on, the sound of a lock clicking upstairs was never heard again in the mansion. Instead, laughter and poetry filled the air. And the millionaire who once thought wealth was everything discovered that love, honesty, and freedom were treasures far greater than gold.